In the summer of 1588, the skies above the English Channel were filled with the roar of cannons and the crash of waves as two of the greatest naval powers of the time prepared for a battle that would change the course of history. On one side, the mighty Spanish Armada, an immense fleet sent by King Philip II of Spain to invade England. On the other, the smaller but more nimble fleet of Queen Elizabeth I, defending its shores against an overwhelming force. This is the story of how a powerful empire's dream of domination met its match, and how the courage, strategy, and weather would turn the tide in favor of England, marking the beginning of the decline of Spanish dominance and the rise of England as a global sea power. The Spanish Armada was born from the ambitions of one of the most powerful monarchs of the 16th century, King Philip II of Spain. Philip had a vision of restoring Catholicism to England and unseating its Protestant queen, Elizabeth I, who was a thorn in the side of Catholic Europe. In 1588, Philip II assembled a fleet of around 130 ships, including battleships, transport vessels, and troops. His plan was to sail from Spain, gather troops from the Spanish-controlled Netherlands, and invade England, overthrowing Queen Elizabeth and installing a Catholic monarch. It was an ambitious strategy, but the odds were heavily in Spain's favor. The Spanish Armada was a force to be reckoned with. It boasted some of the largest warships of the time, heavily armed and reinforced to withstand battle. But, as powerful as it was, the Armada had one critical flaw. It was slow and cumbersome, not suited to the agile tactics of the English Navy. On the other side of the Channel, Queen Elizabeth I faced a daunting task. Though her fleet was smaller, she was not one to back down. Elizabeth was a shrewd and resourceful ruler, and her naval commanders were among the best of their time. England had long been an island nation, and its navy had developed an expertise in naval warfare, especially in hit-and-run tactics. The English fleet, though fewer in numbers, was faster and more maneuverable than the Spanish behemoths. Under the command of Sir Francis Drake, Lord Howard of Effingham, and others, they prepared to defend the country and its Protestant faith. The English fleet was a force built for agility. They had smaller, faster ships that could outmaneuver the heavy and slow-moving Spanish galleons. With Queen Elizabeth's blessing, the English forces were ready to face down Spain's Armada. On the morning of July 29, 1588, the Spanish Armada appeared off the coast of England. They were greeted by the English fleet, which had already been shadowing them for days. The first real clash came near Gravelines, a coastal town in northern France. The battle that unfolded was not one of large-scale naval engagements like the Spanish had planned. Instead, the English fleet, using their speed and agility, launched swift attacks, bombarding the Spanish ships with cannon fire from a distance. The Spanish galleons, weighed down by heavy armor, found it difficult to respond effectively to the nimble English tactics. As the battle raged, the Spanish found themselves at a disadvantage. Their massive ships, though heavily armed, were not built for this kind of combat. They struggled to maneuver, and their large guns couldn't match the fast-moving English vessels. But the Spanish weren't finished yet. But then fate played a key role. On the night of August 7th, after the English had inflicted serious damage to the Armada, a storm swept through the Channel, worsening the already difficult conditions for the Spanish. Their ships were tossed about by the furious seas, making escape impossible. While the English had weathered the storm with relatively little damage, the Spanish fleet was in disarray. Many of the ships were damaged, and some were completely destroyed by the furious waves. What had been a carefully planned invasion turned into a desperate retreat. By the time the storm subsided, the Spanish Armada was shattered. Only a fraction of the fleet was able to return to Spain. The once mighty force had been reduced to a mere remnant, and their dream of conquering England was dashed. In Spain, the news of the Armada's defeat was a devastating blow. Philip II had poured immense resources into the campaign, and the failure marked the beginning of a decline in Spanish naval dominance. While Spain remained a powerful force, its influence on the seas would never be the same. For England, however, the defeat of the Spanish Armada marked the dawn of a new era. Queen Elizabeth I emerged as a national hero, and the victory boosted English morale. cementing its position as a rising sea power. Over the following decades, England would go on to establish its own empire, with its powerful navy leading the way in exploration, trade, and colonization. The defeat of the Spanish Armada signaled the shift in global naval power from Spain to England, setting the stage for England's dominance over the seas in the centuries to come. The defeat of the Spanish Armada is remembered not just as a single naval victory, but as a turning point in world history. It was a testament to the power of strategy, the influence of weather, and the resilience of a nation standing against overwhelming odds. The battle shaped the course of European politics and set the stage for the global conflicts and empires of the future.